Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod.
All right, well, welcome to the Flagstick Podcast, everybody. I'm Jeff Botter. He's Scott McLeod. And the podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Srixon Golf. Srixon Performance is more than just a number. It's a feeling, and one that starts at the forge. Introducing ZXi irons with iForged, groundbreaking achievement in shaping, pressing, and heating. This taken Srixon to an entirely new level. ZXi irons from Srixon, how forged should feel. Visit srixon.ca to get information and see the full lineup of Srixon products. Now, ironically, before we get started, make sure you're following us across all social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Please subscribe to us on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And of course, we encourage you to check out our YouTube channel. Like us, click the notification bell, make sure that you never miss a single episode or anything else that we happen to post up there. Great stuff is posted up there all the time, so you need to check that out. Well, on the show this week, we're going to discuss the Internet Invitational and potentially the double-edged sword that it provided to all involved. And we'll get into explaining what we mean by that. And if time allows, depending on how much we chitter-chatter and go on and on about the Internet Invitational, we might dive into a little bit of the conclusion of the DP World Tour, PGA Tour, and LPGA Tours. But we'll see how things go.
Yes.
We'll see how things go. There is a lot to discuss. Let's just... before we start going on, because I know we're going to get rambling on about some things pre-discussion, so let's just get right into the front nine, and then we'll talk about that. Front nine presented by Metcalf Golf Club, a natural setting, a pleasant challenge. What a great golf season that it was. It may be over, but now is a great time to start thinking about next season and some great golf gifts. The Black Friday sale will be here. It's right around the corner. It'll be here before you know it. Exciting Christmas specials also, and out their online store, personalized golf balls, game packages, and gift cards. Visit metcalfgolf.com and stay in touch with golf savings. All right, well, this is our 150th, let's clap it in, our 150th episode of the Flagstick Podcast. Did we think we were going to get this far? Of course we did.
Sure.
We knew we were going to get this far. We're still young. Still very young. A couple of young guys on here. Look at us. Look at us. Okay, I ain't doing that. Yeah. Okay, Scott just completely wrecked my point.
I blew the cover.
Blew it up. But yes, this is our 150th episode of Flagstick Podcast. We're happy to be still doing it, and can see ourselves doing this into the foreseeable future.
Yes, thank you to everybody who's tuned in, subscribed, listened, watched, commented, sent DMs, you name it. Obviously, we couldn't do this without you, and obviously to our many supporters and marketing partners. It's super important, obviously, for that to make this exist, and we thank everyone for helping out and keeping us going.
We do indeed, and thank you very much also to Dave Portney and Barstool Sports and Bob Does Sports for not inviting us to the Internet Invitational. I did not want a chance to play for $1 million. And be
that's
it
nice.
would have been kind of cool, maybe. I mean, it seemed like on the surface. Let's get into this, because this is the big topic of the show.
Yeah, it is.
Because it is the big topic on the internet. Is the big topic in the golf circles. Those that aren't in the golf circles probably don't give a crap about.
Yeah. And some people in the golf circles even have no idea what it is, which is why we'll have to really explain what it is. Yeah. Because we can go to a lot of average golfers and they'll like, what is it? Because,
what was this? Yeah. The Internet Invitational is was put together, assembled by. Sponsored by Barstool Sports and
Bob Does
Sports, Rob Berger, and it was designed to kind of bring together a bunch of 48 prominent golf influencers, so content creators on social media stars, big names to draw attention.
I didn't even know who some of them were.
But it was kind of like
Yes,
it's all about drawing eyeballs
of course.
to the internet and to
Yeah,
YouTube, in particular, what these people do in
right.
their realms for golf.
Yeah.
You know,
And they
and
all have a collective large audience, which is
yes,
obviously why they're
for a number
doing
of
this.
different reasons.
Right, and this is why they're choosing these people to be part of it, and you know it's very typical as far as ball stool or barstool is all about eyeballs, right? It's
Hmm.
all about clicks, all about whatever. So
I mean, yeah,
not surprised for them to jump in there and do this sort of thing. I'll give them credit before we kind of get down to breaking a lot of things. This is a big production, a lot of technical aspect
yeah.
to it as far as cameras and sound, and I mean I can't even imagine the amount of hours of editing to create all these multiple hour episodes and so forth. So have to give them credit for that.
100%.
uh, but again, we'll keep going from there. There are positives and there are negatives, and that's why we're calling it this double-edged sword potentially.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're
For some
playing for $1
things.
million. So
Yeah,
the winning team won $1 million.
yeah,
Okay, that's what they're playing for.
that's huge.
I don't think there was a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th. I think it was
There's other
um,
there were side prizes and stuff like that, but
yeah,
yeah,
but
you're
$1
right.
million is what they're ultimately playing for. It's
Yeah.
probably as much as some of these social media influencers and content creators, as much money as they probably make doing what
Hmm.
they do.
Sure.
Playing golf for $1 million is something that probably very few of them have done or ever done. There are a couple of people within
Right. Yeah.
their the group that have played professional golf before and have
Yep.
had the opportunity to play for lots of money that maybe wouldn't have had a chance to win that money. I mean, there was one player that had played in the Masters, having been the
Yeah.
runner
As an
up at the
amateur.
U.S. Amateur. So he
Yeah.
played as an amateur. So he's in a tournament where they're playing for four or
Sure.
five, $6 million,
Yeah.
but wasn't eligible anyway. So, but the point is. They're playing for a lot of money. There's a lot on the
Hmm.
line for a lot of these people that are, and the format was very unique. It wasn't
Hmm.
just 48 people teeing it up going head to head. It was a team format, and it was big teams condensed to smaller teams, to ultimately you're part of a team of three at the end,
Hmm.
going against another team of three at the end. A lot of match play format,
Hmm.
different games within the game.
Which I liked. I like match
Yeah,
play, and I
there
think
was like a little par three
yeah.
competition that was one of the eliminations. Kind of like really, it was kind of like this culmination of or this combination of golf tournament meets Big Brother meets
Reality
Survivor.
TV. Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
very much
Yeah.
sort
Yeah.
of a reality TV golf tournament thing, and all rolled into one.
Right.
And the finals was ultimately a three person team match play alternate shot format. And as
That's
you
tough.
know,
That's tough.
and as I know, alternate shot in itself, when
Yeah.
two good players or three good players are playing with each other, can be challenging enough as it is.
Sure.
When you've got a team of three and you're not necessarily all decent
Ver-
golfers,
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't terrible, but
Yeah.
as we will
Let's.
discuss, at times
Yes.
they look terrible. Um, you're playing for $1 million.
Yeah.
And the guy
Yeah. And
stands up on
then.
the tee and hits it in the bush. I mean, this
Mhm.
is think about the anxiety that you're feeling as a teammate, where you're trying to be a good teammate, and you're playing for $1 million, and you watch the guy on your team hit the
Right.
ball out of bounds off the
Yeah.
tee, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, we just lost the like,
Yeah, and,
you
and
know,
and it played that purse played a big role because no matter the eyeballs and stuff that were part of this, that dollar amount made a big difference not only for the people playing in it, but obviously for the audience as well.
hmm
If these players were only playing for a very small amount, a minuscule amount, I guarantee you the views would not be as much,
no,
and the players might not be as eager to play in it based on the fact that they've all got their own channels and stuff. Yes, they were going to get more exposure. Collabs are important as far as influencers are concerned. I mean,
hmm
collaborations, reaching into other people's audiences to draw people towards you, it's sort of the building block for golf social media stars as it is, they need to do that. So that $1 million was important to this, not to say that, potentially, there's much more money to be made than that, obviously. But yes, that was a big hook, and certainly, would dictate or have some influence on the play of the players, given their level of experience, and having to play that, because as you said, having to play for $1 million. If we took anybody from our audience and said, you got to go out with, two of your friends, pick two, and then you'll go 3-on-3 with some other people for $1 million. You can imagine there might be some tight grips and some funny looking
tight other
golf
things.
shots, tight other things. Time again, yeah. Yeah, for sure. So all that to set up, to say that, the format was fairly good. As far as this event was concerned, the prize was good. There was a lot of things that would set this up, and then we go from there.
Well, and this is where we talk about we talk about the double-edged sword. This is why off the top we said that the, initially I kind of thought, okay, should this be like the Internet Invitational? Was it worth it?
Sure.
And I'm sure that there are some participants now that look back on it and wonder, now that they didn't win the $1 million, was this a good thing for their brand, or was it a bad thing for their brand? So why the double-edged sword? Because there's risks and rewards when you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Excuse me. When you put yourself out there, like golf influencers and social media celebrities do, all the time, when they do a skit or a bit, or put a video out on YouTube or on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, every time they do that on their own channels, in their own fashion, they're putting themselves out there, because it could hit or it could miss. And the backlash on social media could be, what the heck was that crap thing that you just posted? Or, man, that was the funniest thing I've ever saw, or whatever.
It's void brands and also killed brands.
Yes.
Right?
So,
and also, when you're dealing with that, not only your brand reputation, your potential deals with partners. There's a lot to be there's a lot to be said for this. And this is a much different situation as well. And, we'll get to the details of that, in the fact that they're not on their own channels. So they don't have final edit, is really,
that's the
important.
key right there. No control.
No control, because I can tell you, going and doing interviews and stuff like that, we've both done it over the years, where you're involved with something and you're like, if you don't have that control over it, you don't know what's going to come out at the back end of it, and whether it's going to be clipped down to this clip, and it takes it out of context. You don't know what's going to happen. And then, when we spread that out and talk about something that, has hours and hours of coverage, things change by a lot. And, I think when people start to consider what it looks like when they're watching their normal sports, there's a reason why, leagues and so forth have rules for particular things, as far as conduct and so forth. There's a reason why they control their images. And people sometimes will say, oh, well, that's not authentic, or whatever. Yes, it is, but they're also protecting their brand. So brand protection is a big part of this.
Yeah. And I think that's where this whole thing, I'm going to say this whole thing went off the rails, because I'm not so sure that it wasn't I'm not so sure that going off the rails wasn't intended. I'm not so sure that when they did this, and when they put it out there and kept creative control, that the producers of this particular feature on YouTube weren't expecting that there was going to be some kind of a dynamic that would elevate this beyond just, if all this ended up being was was 48 golf influencers that were mixed between former pros, low index amateurs, mid handicap golfers, and, from what I saw, some people that don't play golf very well. If that's all this was,
there are characters. Yes.
If that's all this was at the end of the day, I don't think
Yeah.
anybody would have paid any attention to it. Like, I don't
Probably
think it
not.
would have had the eyeballs that it did. But I think the fact that there was so many different characters, as you call them, within
Mm-hmm.
this,
Mm-hmm.
then the producers and the producers probably encouraged them to say, "Hey, look, you can swear, you can do this, you can just be you, just go out and do
Mm.
like say what you
Yeah.
want." We got cameras on the carts, we got cameras here, we got
Yeah.
everybody's going and talking to everybody while the whole thing is going. It was a gong show at times with the number of
Mm-hmm.
people that were surrounding the greens and walking out on the greens and
Yeah.
stuff. It's like, what is this?
Yeah.
And I think that is what just adds to the non-professional, non um, organized amateur association golf tournament nature of what this was. It was not
Mm-hmm.
just about a golf tournament for $1 million. It was about all of the sideshows that went along
No.
with it.
And as you said, I think they wanted that. And look, let's put this in context as well. I mean, there are other produced reality TV golf events that have happened on particular channels, let's put it
Mm-hmm.
that way, where I know that if people have gone to casting for those particular ones and were asked specific questions about the other people, for
Mm-hmm.
an example, because they were looking to dig for drama
Oh
for,
yeah,
for
dirt.
potential for potential
Yep.
storylines. So, and you have to look at this too. This is not a singular event because it was done over a number of episodes. There is obviously a lot of lead up and a lot of things that are done from a promo standpoint, and we're seeing the after effect as well because it's not only the million of views, it's the specific events that happened that are being used to promote it and to pull eyeballs in
Mm-hmm.
and to get people going, oh, okay, what's going on, with that? Why do I want to see that or whatever? And obviously, if there wasn't that, if everything kind of went hunky dory, they didn't focus on particular incidents, and it was just a matter of, oh, okay, here's good golf and here's a few great shots. It's probably not getting the eyeballs. So, as you said, there has to be some intention, and whether that was good or not. And here's the other side of it. I think it's funny for, and I feel bad for some people that bought into a lot of the different things, not realizing how manufactured some things might have been, and how they get involved with the characters and they just forget the reality of it more than anything. And
Mm-hmm.
hearing people afterwards talk about particular players and go, oh man, they should be out on tour. And I'm not talking about the good players, I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about some of the other players. And I'm thinking, they're like, oh, that would really enhance the tour and stuff. It's like, okay, look, we've lost reality here. This is what it is. These are the players of what they
Yeah.
are as far as the level. I have high respect for a Luke Kwan or a Brad Dalkey as far as their level of play, but their level of play is still not that world class that even they could be part of that. Otherwise, they would be part of that,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
So here's the thing. Let's go back to before we get into some of the individual things, because I know
Yeah,
that's
for
kind of
sure.
where this is going to end up going.
Yeah.
We talk about the double-edged sword. We talk about the rewards of this. We've said,
Mm-hmm.
it ultimately we're talking about 48 people who have a brand.
Yeah.
So the reward for being part of this is this massive increase in visibility for your brand,
Right.
and the expansion of that brand, the reach that this event had. If people tune in and they see you and they like you and you go far in it and you show you're a decent golfer and you're a good person and all this stuff, it's going to draw massive new
Sure.
audiences for you.
Yeah.
And with that comes massive financial rewards as well, beyond the
100%.
$1 million if you
Yes.
win. This is like, if you
Yes.
win the $1 million, great. But if you don't win the $1 million and you lose in the final and you were just a really good brand,
Yeah.
then you're going to see your sponsorships and your eyeballs and your subscriptions and so on drive
Yep.
through the roof. Your brand is going to soar. The flip side of that, or the other side of that
Mm-hmm.
sword, is the risk. And
Mm-hmm.
you put in here the peril of the edit. This is huge because as big as your brand can grow,
Yeah.
your brand can also go the other way. If the negativity associated with your participation in an event of this stature is not seen the right way, or if you portray yourself in a way that people didn't think you really were because your channel doesn't show you that way, now people start to see you differently. Now your brand starts to drop, and with that is the audience drops, and with that the money drops too. So it's like a complete flip over the other way. So you are putting yourself out there, putting yourself and your brand, and I keep saying brand, and notice how I keep saying brand.
Of course, yeah.
Because this is your big, this is why you did this YouTube thing in the first place. This is why you got on social media and started doing things. This is your whole reason for being, is this. And if this event shows you as a different person than the one you're portraying in a negative fashion, then all of that goes downhill too.
Yeah. And let's put it in context as well here. You know, for some of those people, their brand is not, you know, it's not like this Puritan brand of their this. Some of it's the other way. But again, that is the same sort of thing. If you're this certain character online and you all of a sudden change that in this thing because you're exposed for a longer period of time, well, yes, that can have some downsides as well. I'd be very interested, because a lot of these personalities are now at a level where they have management, and I'd be very interested, one, to find out who was asked and didn't participate.
That would be interesting,
because they decided that, you know what, there's nothing for me to gain, and there might be something too much for me to hear.
I wasn't asked.
Yeah. Okay. And you know, what are those discussions like with their management? Are there managers that are just sort of saying, oh, well, do it no matter what? Or are there ones that are weighing the downsides of it? And unfortunately, I would say that, you know, in this sphere where it is so new, I would say that there's probably some people that might have regretted their decisions, and there's others that are very happy with their decisions, no matter what they say publicly afterwards, which again, we're not sure what they're allowed to say afterwards.
Yeah, we don't know what the contract said beforehand, right? So
exactly. So but yeah, you know, when you look at those risks, as you said, like you know, there is a lot of different things that can happen as far as those risks. And as I mentioned, the peril of the edit, I mean, we start to talk about, you know, I mean, Dave Portnoy said in one clip, whether I believe him or not, he said, well, we didn't give anybody a bad edit. It's like, okay, there's a difference between giving somebody a bad edit but you know, it's hard to tell you or say you didn't give somebody a bad edit if you don't really know about the game, which is very clear that's something that happened there or whatever, where, you know, he obviously showed his you know, it's his ball game, that's perfectly fine, but he also showed why he's not the rules official or rules commissioner or you know, running a tour, because it's like, okay, you know, you say you didn't give a bad edit, but you have to understand that, you know, there's got to be heroes and there's got to be villains. So, you know, there's definitely some editing that's definitely done to create some storylines and to create that, you know, that controversy. Because if there is no conflict, I mean, that is a basic tenet of, you know, every novel, book, narrative, everything ever, movie, you name it, that there's some sort of level of conflict. So, you know, if there is nothing, then, you know, sometimes we miss. Yeah, exactly. And sometimes a lot of the nuances that some people might appreciate are basically sacrificed for the sake of, you know, following that narrative. So we all watch and we get fed a particular story, and that's why we're talking about it today.
Exactly. That's exactly, you know, why we're doing this.
Right. Whereas it's like, I've also seen a few people that took part, and when they start talking about particular incidents that happened, that said, hey, man, I was there. There was something different that happened that you didn't see. And I've seen them arguing online with people that are obviously taking certain, you know, participants to task over certain things because they were fed that. So they believe it. There's a a severe lack of critical thinking that goes on in the world these days.
Yeah.
And as a result of it, people all swallow a narrative, kind of right away and believe that it's true, whether it is or not. And, they all of a sudden react to it. Well, again, that's the risk that these people take. So when all of a sudden things that are being highlighted, yeah, you know what? They're going to highlight great shots, but they're also going to highlight flaws and stuff as well and amplify certain things. And, it's all part of it. I mean, you see it every day in every type of, golf YouTube stuff. You can tell when they're building up the drama for somebody who's going to make a bad shot or make a great shot or whatever. So but this is the risk that these participants take. That's
well,
sure.
I mean, the thing is too, like Portney and Whitney, there's
Oh God.
there's not two less knowledgeable guys
Yes.
about the game of golf than those
Yeah.
two donkeys. I
And
mean,
the funny part is that you say that, and I would say it the exact same too, or exact same way. But if I say that to some people, then they all of a sudden start to argue, and it's like, okay, settle down here. Just because you're a golfer,
yeah,
doesn't mean you have a level of knowledge that is beyond. Just because your authority is created because of publicity and
yeah.
watches, and you're involved with fame and all sorts of different things, that's not a qualifier. That doesn't make you an expert. So, and I say it all the time. I see people that are, they've got 400,000 followers on Instagram and they're giving golf tips. Well, guess what? That's not
That doesn't mean anything.
That doesn't mean anything. That means they have 400,000 people following. It doesn't qualify the information that they're giving. And the same thing here. You have those guys. Look, take them as they are. They're commentators, but they're there for those particular reasons. It's not because they're there because they're experts.
No, I mean, and truthfully, I don't consider either one of them experts in what they are supposed experts in either. So,
yeah.
Consider this my pizza review. Okay. So I'm gonna give the front nine a 7.1.
Okay.
And we're going to take a break and move on to the back nine, and we'll see if
was that one bite.
That was one bite. Everybody knows the rules.
Then he takes 7 more bites.
I'm going to take 7 more bites. Yeah. So we are going to take a break. And when we come back, we are going to see if we can't get a better rating on the back nine because this conversation is going to continue. We're going to dig into a little bit of the key figures and the impact that this event may have had on them and some of the key events that took place, particularly during the finals of the Internet Invitational. But stay with us. We'll be right back. You're listening to and watching the Flagstick podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod.
How do you forge pure? With more pressure, more precision, more focus, more control. ZXI Irons. Pure forged. Pure Srixon.
All right. Well, welcome back to the Flagstick podcast, the controversy show. No. Just kidding. We're going to continue our conversation here with respect to the Internet Invitational. And as promised, we'll get into some of the nitty-gritty details of some of the things that happened that were somewhat controversial here on the back nine, which, of course, is presented by our very good friends at Falcon Ridge Golf Club. The transition is now complete. The indoor golf season has arrived at Falcon Ridge. Their simulators are open 7 days a week, starting at 8 a.m. and shutting it down at 11 p.m. or later, I would imagine, if need be. They have 4 TrackMan simulators featuring over 400 courses, including many of the PGA Tour courses you see. Fully ready to go with beverages and light food. So book your tee times on one of the TrackMan sims. Visit falconridgegolf.ca. Okay. Let's deal with the so-called elephant in the room, the elephant on the podcast. Now, for all of the great things that an event like this can create, all the great experiences, memories, eyeballs, whatever the complete waste of 6 hours of my life or whatever. No, I'm not. It wasn't a waste of my life. I'm just kidding. I'm doing that for clicks. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all for the internet.
There is it's up to each person to decide how much entertainment value it had for them. I've yet to talk to anyone who has sat through every single episode in full, but I'm sure there's some out there. And hey, if you like it, help yourself.
The level of entertainment value, if that's what they were going for, particularly the entertainment value in the final episode, through the roof.
Was there. Yeah.
Now, if that was intended, I'm sure it wasn't intended to be that kind of entertaining, but for what went on in that last little bit. Now, let's just go back, because we have to go all the way back to the very beginning, to where the controversy or the
the first incident,
where the first incident, the first one voted off the island. Luke Kwan.
Yeah.
This poor guy.
This was the hype stuff too, because this ended up being everything that people talked about leading into this was the hook to get people to watch that first episode. Yeah.
So this was it. Dude shows up late for misses his tea time. Essentially, apparently. This is, misses his tea time, and then his explanation for why he missed his tea time, it just, the whole thing surrounding this guy was like he didn't give a crap, and his give a crap meter was at an all-time low, and that generated reaction and hate towards this guy for,
oh my god,
it was incredible. He overslept. He was very nonchalant about it, like, yeah, whatever, meh, and the aftermath, the backlash that he received because of it,
it was a pile-on.
Oh my god,
it
was crazy. Now, I guess the thing is, I'm not a stickler for the rules, and as we will get into a little bit later with some of the other situations, I'm not a stickler for the rules. Some rules I think are a little bit tight. So the reaction to what, at the same time,
go ahead.
The rules are there essentially to protect the entire field. There's more than just you playing or another person playing. There's 48 people. 47 other people playing, and if you break the rules and don't get penalized for that the way you're supposed to get penalized for that, then that's not good. That sort of sets the tone right off the bat as to, okay, well, you missed a tea time. Well, you're DQ'd, or in match play, I think it's still a loss of hole, is it not? Like I'm not 100% positive. I think it's just loss of hole.
Yeah, but here was part of the thing that led into this whole, and I realize it's not a formal golf tournament or things like this, but the fact that there were not, supposedly not a formal golf tournament, but the fact that a lot of the rules were not defined in advance.
Yes. Okay. So thank you for saying it. Thank you for saying it. That's a huge problem.
It is a huge problem, because it's like you cannot build the plane while you're flying it.
No, you can, I suppose, but it's not going to fly.
Right. So the problem for a lot of the things that we're going to get into, and I get it, there are some set things that are in particular in the rule books, in the rules of golf. Say that's the basis, that's one thing. As we know, because we run golf tournaments, we also have a local rule sheet that goes with it that defines the rules of the competition, if there are any other local rules and everything. The whole point of all this is to avoid controversy during the competition, where it was obviously that wasn't addressed or thought out, so that maybe there could be more controversy during this. So the all of a sudden, well, how much of a penalty should we give this person? Is like, oh my lord, that was just like, are you kidding me?
Every single time I heard any kind of ruling, and the worst part was when it was a question of, well, I'm not sure if I want to apply a rule here because I got a side bet going on here, and that greatly affects. Like, what the hell are you talking about? You got a side bet going on, and that's going to change how you rule. Yeah. The rules are the rules are the rules. Like you either play by them, you don't play by them, or you define them before you tee off as to what the modifications to those rules are going to be. And you're perfectly within your right as an organizer of a tournament to create a modified set of rules for the tournament if you so choose, i.e. out of bounds stakes are played as hazards. I mean, Lots of tournaments do it. I think it's a great rule,
and we see that on YouTube all the time.
Yes.
If people follow like good or whatever, I mean,
exactly.
there's a reason why it's done. It's just because in case they're not going back to the tee, so it's
100%.
Take the penalty and away you go. But if that's decided and agreed to in advance, that's perfectly fine.
But everything that wasn't agreed to in advance is ultimately what created more controversy, more discussion points, if you will. So, just to finish up on Luke Kwan. Sure. Dude misses his tee time. I believe the ruling was they ended up with a 4-hole penalty or something like that. It's like, I don't even know what the heck that is.
I don't know. I've never heard of that. But anyways,
that's a weird rule. Now, what did it do to him? Well, it was a huge negative reaction for him. In the immediacy of it. The internet went after him, social media all over him. The memes were popping up all over the place.
Right.
Is there any sort of comeback for Luke Kwan after this? I'm thinking the situation like what happened with him, over time, people will forget that.
Yeah,
I think that's not a rules violation in the sense that you slept in. He's not the first. PGA Tour players sleep in and miss their tee times. Now they get DQ'd for it. He didn't, but this is not a PGA Tour event. So that I think will sort of pass him by over time, and his brand probably won't be hurt too much by it.
No, and but people shouldn't have this, real hate for a person because of this. And a lot of times, as you said, and we see it in professional sports all the time, people are going nuts over something and vilifying somebody, and it's a lot of times tied in because of their bets and stuff like that as well. So that's not a great way. But yes, as you're going to get to, now we get into some ones that could have some deeper harm to a personal brand.
So now, while there were, I'm sure in other episodes, there were some other sort of controversial sort of situations that occurred, but nothing really came to the forefront for this tournament until the final round. The gamesmanship, particularly the banter, the trash talking, sort of subtle trash talking, if you will, that went on in the final match. That in itself is fine. I mean, it's trash talking, it's whatever. Normal. But where that ultimately ended up coming back to bite somebody in the butt was right off the bat with Paige Spiranac. There was a situation early on in the round where a putt was not given. It was about a 1.5, 2 foot putt, but it was outside the hole. I mean, it was a slider. Like this had break in it. And the team that was playing against Paige Spiranac, which they didn't give the putt. And Paige made a comment about, this is match play, right? Kind of thing. And to kind of hint at the fact that, you can give us this putt. And they didn't give him the putt. They made the putt, walked away. It's like, and then there was all this sort of side video going on about, I can't believe it didn't give me the putt. Like, that's just, that just shows. And then she made a comment to one of the players in the other group. We can tell that you've never played competitive golf before.
About Francis.
Meanwhile, there's a former professional golfer and U.S. amateur runner-up in the group with them. But yes, the guy that she made the comment to never played golf before. So fast forward a little bit. There's the incident in the rough where Malosi hits the ball into a long grass, long grass, buried lie in there. And next thing you know, they show a video of him hitting this perfectly pure friggin' shot out of this long grass, just short of the green, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, what a freaking shot, Malosi! You're the man, Mo! Way to go!" And then the video starts. The video goes. Then the side cart talk happens. Where I think she
moved the grass.
Moved the grass. I think she fixed the grass in the rough. That ball came out way too clean. Yeah, I thought that came out way cleaner than like all this side stuff, which is part of the production. Then they go to the black and white side video of her taking her hands and pressing all the
Zapruder films.
pressing all the grass down around the ball, and then then it all starts to come out. Well, she's pressing, you can't, and then it's like the other side thing. Someone else goes over to Brad and is like, I think she was doing this and pressing well, I don't know. Should we? We don't. They lost
Should we
the
bring it
whole.
up?
Should we bring it up? And Brad's like, the clearer head guy is kind of prevailing at that point. I'm thinking, okay, this is a dead issue. It's like they lost the whole. It's over, done with. Move on. Just keep an eye on her. No. Mm-mm. And the wheels are turning in Fisher's mind, and it's like, or Francis' mind, and he's like, you can tell he's ticked off about the fact that she made the comment about him not playing competitive golf. So then he raises it subtly, and just just so you know, it's like knowing that it's going to tick somebody off, and then she starts crying about it and saying, I didn't know that you weren't allowed to do that. So the first part about this is, I didn't know you weren't allowed to do that. First of all, are you freaking kidding me right now?
Played NCAA golf, played some pro events, played competitive golf, and that's one of the things that she stakes her reputation on as well. Is that, well, I'm not just a pretty face. I'm a golfer too, or whatever. Well,
and I have bought into that myself over the years. I mean, yes, Paige Spiranac is an attractive woman.
Sure.
She's gotten a reputation in both directions. She's had a reputation for one thing. She's trying to build a reputation for something else. I'm one of those people that has been buying into the something else. Buying into the tips that she gives online, buying into some of her videos and her related to golf. And ignoring the other stuff, not paying attention to the other stuff as much. Now I see this, and this is where we talk about harming your reputation. I cannot now in good conscience look at Paige Spiranac and her videos and the things that she does online as somebody with knowledge of the game to the level that I was starting to develop for her. Now I see it's like, how can you possibly stand there and say you didn't know that you weren't allowed to do that when you have played this game at a competitive level for a very long time in your life, and you profess to know the game, and then say that? I'm sorry, but I don't believe you. I believe that you knew exactly what you were doing, and I don't even know how you thought you were going to get away with it.
Yeah, especially with that many cameras.
Oh my God, there's cameras everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the thing. This is like, I wonder in some senses, it's like, does she care at this point? Like she acted like she did or whatever, but the other side of it is she, as you said, she's been on both sides of things as far as scrutiny is concerned. You rise to fame, you get a lot of controversy. So she's the player that comes in that has the highest level of existing sort of scrutiny to her, probably more than anyone. But she also knows that builds her audience in some ways as well. So I don't know what to think of it kind of that way. But you have to think that eventually, if you're exposed for long enough and showing your colors in a certain way, you're going to show who you really are. Right. And that's why when small incidents happen with something, a lot of people will kind of pass over it. But if there are continued things at high levels, long term, this is where people start to take a shift on, that 15 minutes of fame and whether it's over or not. You know what I mean?
Well, and here's the thing. She received a lot of hate
and
comments
that's not appropriate.
And things like that. And I don't, and I'm not down with that. Down with that at all. I don't post stuff on social media with respect to responses to things that I see. I read a lot of it. I get a lot of flack from my kids that I like TikTok. I'm sorry. I like TikTok. But I don't respond to any of it. But I do get triggered by some of it, and my boys are like, you're typical, you're just you get sucked in by what they're sucking you in with. And I agree. I do. I get sucked into it, and then I talk about it to people, but I don't comment about it.
Yeah.
I am not piling on Paige Spiranac and hating, you're this, you're that, whatever. No. I am saying, as someone in the golf industry, I've been in the golf industry for 30 plus years. You've been in it for a long time as well, like well past 30 years. Like we've been around this business a long time. I'm saying this as someone who's been in the business for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
What happened in that final round, particularly with that situation, for me, has brought my respect level for her
Mm-hmm.
as an expert
Mm-hmm.
on social media, on the internet, down. My stock in her,
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate Paige Sporanic. I'm
No,
not
it's
gonna
not about
like.
that.
That's not what it's about. But she will now not be one of the. Her reputation to me has gone the other way a little bit. She's going to have to earn that reputation back over time if she wants to. At the same time, she did a lot of good things at the beginning of this whole thing, where she was involved in strategic planning of picking the teams and things like that. Like she showed a lot of competency, a lot of professionalism, a lot of knowledge in the beginning. But then she did this, and it's like, okay, now you've kind of gone the other way again.
And it's really interesting because I spent a fair amount of time with some of the social media brand managers for particular for manufacturers and particular brands and things like that. And one of the things that they have to dive through and delve through is the reputation of the people that they partner with. And as much as this might drive audience numbers, sometimes audience numbers are not enough. Reputation is important as well. So I can tell you there's been a number of times that maybe somebody from a company has reached out and they said, do you follow this person? What are they like, or whatever? They might have a large audience, but if the brand doesn't feel that it aligns with their values,
Yep.
then all of a sudden they're like, that's a no-go zone. We'll move on to somebody else. So that is the risk. Again, as we said, this is not about a personal hate or bullying or anything like that. This is just about your reputation and the exposure that you have here in this type of event of making mistakes and how they can be amplified. And that is a risk that you take when you participate in this type of thing. As much as it may be great and you're chasing that $1 million, you have to weigh in what it could potentially do on the other side of it. And if you're going to mitigate that as much as possible, then you need to protect your brand by making sure that you're doing things as right as possible during this, so that you don't expose yourself to controversy. Because if you don't give them ammunition, then there's nothing for them to play with or modify. That you can't sit there and say, no, that's not what I did. They actually did this. But if you actually did it, that gives them the fodder to be able to do something with. So,
well, okay. And so that's a very good point, Scott. Very good point. Congratulations to you. That was a very good point.
Thanks. I make one or two in my life.
There's two. Okay. So I want to move on from Paige, even though we're not moving too far, because the next sort of discussion point is within her group again, is with Melosi. So the situation there is rangefinders. Now, everybody knows that rangefinders nowadays, you can get them with and without slope, and the slope can be turned on and off. Now, those that don't know, the slope means that when you laser something, it takes into account the up and the down. It's the easiest way to say it.
Elevation change.
Takes into account the elevation change, the up and the down, and it adjusts it. So you get a regular number, you get an adjusted number. So most golf tournaments, in fact, all golf tournaments that I know of, when you're allowed to use rangefinders, you are required to turn slope off or use a rangefinder with no slope, so that you're not being given that distinct advantage of knowing how much to adjust for elevation. So there was a situation that occurred during one of the matches, and it wasn't the first occurred not during the final match, but occurred during, I believe it was the par 3 competition, where they were lasering a yardage from the tee, and the competitive group had 1 yardage, and Melosi had a yardage that was 5 yards difference. And that right off the bat
rung some bells.
Yeah, it's sort of red flags started going up, bells are ringing. How is it that every time he lasers a yardage, he's got a different yardage by 4 or 5 yards? Why is what's going on here?
Especially when you're at a golf facility that has a high number of elevation changes.
Yeah, somebody asked him, "All right, do you got your slope on?" And he's like, "No." And then the person then was like, yeah, I think you do, because we had this. And he goes, oh, well, I measured it from over here.
Mm.
So that was within it. And then nothing else came of that.
Right.
I
But of
think
course,
he
I think
had,
that I think that was shown to help support
yes.
the narrative that would happen further on. Obviously.
So in the final match, here we go again. Somebody in the crowd of carts watching commented about his rangefinder and the possibility that he had the slope turned on. And then the group, then it was between Portney and Whitney were going on about it. Then someone went down to, I think it went to Brad and said something about it. And then he came back to his guy and they started talking about it, and the whole cart camera video and all this stuff. Next thing you know, they're showing video. They ask him. He says no. He goes back to his cart. They showed all this video. The first thing he does when he gets back to his cart is grab the rangefinder from where it was. And if you look at the video, now this is where rules things we've said right in our little dialogue here, allegedly. Okay? Because there clearly is no video evidence showing that he had slope on or that he took slope off. However, if you watch the video, I'm saying that there's probably a pretty good chance that when you watch the video that you can see him swiping his thumb across the lever, the slide to turn it on and off. And chances are, if he was questioned about it once or twice already, that it probably was on. However, there's no proof to say that it was or it wasn't.
That's
so
right.
so at that point right there, with all the video and this is on the heels of the whole patting down the grass thing.
Yeah.
So this is like all in one sort of stretch of holes. Now think about what all this is doing to that threesome. He's trying to win $1 million, and they're going on and on and on about the slope thing, and nobody can prove a damn thing.
Right.
Yet they keep going on about it, and that's to me, that's not fair. That's not how you handle. So regardless of what Malosi did or didn't do, from an organizational standpoint and a handling of the situation standpoint, this was handled so poorly. In the sense, this should have been all behind the scenes, because if there was proof, then that he had it on, then that's a loss of a hole for every hole that you had it on. That's not a loss of the hole you just played. So therefore, the match is over.
Yeah.
So unless you plan on laying that rule down,
see, that's the thing, is that they didn't probably want to do that.
No,
because
of course they didn't.
Obviously, the event is over. If that
so
if that
shut the heck up
way.
about it.
Yeah.
And let them play for $1 million. You're making it harder than ever. Yeah. Because right after that, I mean, he went on the green to putt and he thought his ball moved, and he's like, you know, all of a sudden now they're like locked in on every rules infraction because they think that they're out to get them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's affecting how you play. Like this is where I got ticked off about the event and not so much about Malosi.
Yeah, and the thing is that, you know, what's the fairness here to Malosi? You know, if he's innocent in this particular thing, right?
He was already proven guilty, but he wasn't, you know.
But the problem is that, you know, this is the downside. It's like, who becomes the villain, right?
Yeah.
Who becomes the villain, manufactured or real? And even then, look, we're not talking life or death here. You know, obviously it interferes with the events. It questions a person's ethics. It questions their, you know, their morals and whatever. But, you know, this is when we talk about, you know, we've had this sort of scale of Luke Kwan, Paige Spiranac, Malosi is, you know, he's a sub figure on good. You know, it's not like,
but he was vilified in this situation, and probably for no good reason, because there was no proof to suggest that he should have been vilified, regardless of whether you think what you see in the video. It clearly looks to me like he turned it off, but I can't see the other side of the rangefinder, so I can't tell if he just had his thumb on it. He looks guilty, but he's not guilty if you can't prove anything. So let it go.
which we have to also realize that when a lot of these designs are done with the rangefinders, they're done to make it easy to do. So the idea is normally to have it where your thumb or a forefinger will normally go on the rangefinder. They're not going to put it in an awkward spot. And again, I'm not making a decision one way or another, but the issue for him is that he's the last controversy. So as a result of it,
he's the one that's
it's the one that people are going to remember, the one that they're going to talk about. And, that becomes an issue as far as, okay, how long is this stink, we'll say? How long is this going to hang on him?
Yeah.
And what does this do from a brand perspective? And here's the thing. The other side of it, let's go beyond brand. Let's go beyond brand here, and this is important. I know we're running against the clock here.
You know what? Why don't we just do another break, and then we can come back because I mean I'm gonna be rushing through things. So just say your piece. We'll wait about a minute, and then we'll flip off. So go ahead.
Yeah. So this has to do with people's mental health as well. I mean, when you're in this scrutiny and online and taking this type of hate and stuff like that, this is the things that will drive people away from social media. But it will also affect them on a personal level as well. And it's nice to think of this thing as a cast of characters in TV and it's not real, but this has a real effect on people's life, not just from a financial standpoint, all that aspect of it, but on a personal level, mentally. I mean, you've got to imagine the range of emotions that these people have had to go through because of this. And again, this is why they would start to consider going, okay, should I be involved with this or should I not be? Because there is a downside to it. And, there is a downside from that social media standpoint, whether it's, creating content on a regular basis, listening to comments, getting feedback from people that really are not real and really don't have a real effect in your life, people that you're never, ever going to see again, keyboard warriors, whatever. But it doesn't matter, whatever the case is, what they say will impact you in a real way. So that's an important factor to bring in here, is that human side of it, that it's outside the brand, outside the event. It's that personal side of it where it becomes, very impactful as well.
No, I agree with you 100% there. Okay, listen, we're going to take another break. We don't normally do this very often, but this is kind of run on and there's a lot of stuff to go over. Sure. So we're going to take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap this up. We'll wrap up the show, get our last thoughts in, and take it from there. So you're listening and watching the Flagstick Podcast with Jeff Bonner and Scott McLeod. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
How do you forge pure? With more pressure, more precision, more focus, more control. ZXI irons, pure forged, pure Srixon.
All right, well, welcome back to the extended version of the 150th Flagstick Podcast. So it's fitting, I guess, kind of that the 150th episode of the Flagstick Podcast is a little bit of an extended cut.
Sure.
Director's cut, producer's cut.
Extra holes, playoff.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. There you go. Front nine, back nine.
Playoff.
I should create a whole new slide for this.
Extra holes.
And the playoffs are brought to you by nobody, because we didn't get a sponsor for it. We didn't know it was going to happen. All right. So it's free golf. Okay. So we've talked about, in this final episode of the Internet Invitational, we've talked about the controversy that sort of dominated and I say dominated because realistically, if you watch the final episode of this, episode 6, I think it is, this whole narrative of, the grass thing, the rangefinder thing, it dominated the episode. It really did. It became more than just...
And the play, except the good or bad play.
Yeah, I mean,
which we didn't really get into that much.
I don't want to. So yeah. Anyway, so it dominated it to the point where it was the episode, really. Yeah. And then you had a winner, and even the way they won was like, are you kidding me? This is how they shake hands at the end of it. Some guy blades his chip shot from the front of the green into the water behind the green,
which I've seen a whole bunch of clips and explanations about it in little sub videos, and I'm like, Okay, he just bladed. He's a terrible golfer.
But
Realize,
but after he does it, he says, "I'm sorry, guys, I did the thing."
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I look, and I am the last person on the planet that is going to criticize this guy for doing the thing, because I have a thing that I have done my whole golf life that it just rears its ugly head where I hosel rocket at chip shots. I could be 1 foot off the green, and I have circled a green before I got onto it with multiple hosel rockets for chip shots. So I am not going to get on
for the play.
The guy for what he did. What I am going to say is, like, seriously, that's how you lose $1 million? Is I'm putting the damn thing. If I have a tendency to do the thing,
yes.
If there's a thing that I do, and that's a situation where I could do the thing, I'm not chipping.
Like, I respect the fact that it was a tide coming down to the end. But I also have to sit there and think about this. It's like, what if they knew that ending was happening and it was happening the way it did? Was that the reason why they leaned into the other aspects of the narrative?
Because the production is after the fact, right? So it's not like, you know what? McLeod didn't think of it. Didn't think of it. Now I'm thinking about it. That you could very well be right. That it sucked so bad that the only way they could save episode 6 was to focus all of their attention on all that
controversies.
Crap.
Yeah,
because the golf, like, I've played a lot of scrambles with guys like yourself that hit the ball a mile, and drive greens and hit it to the front of greens. Was there any birdies in the final round? I don't know if there was. And they were on the front edge of greens because the Brad Dalkey. Sorry, I keep thinking of his first name, last name, Dalkey.
Yeah,
he was a laser beam. Every shot he hit was good.
Yeah,
and he drove balls onto greens. He hit it 360, and they couldn't get the frickin' thing in the hole.
So
nobody could make a putt.
So if you don't want people to talk about the quality of the play, you give them another narrative to talk about.
And they did. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, Scott, I think you are 100% bang on what they did.
Might be.
They watched it back and said, "Nuh-uh. Yeah. Nobody's. This is the worst friggin' final match that you could possibly have. We gotta do something. There's gotta be something that we can do. Let's focus on all this controversy."
Yeah, I'd like to be in that editing room and to see
gosh. Can you imagine
what the decisions were to create the narratives that they did and to focus, because obviously they have tons and tons of footage to work with. It's like, all right, what are we gonna create of this? We better pull some strings here. Otherwise, if we don't have this dramatic, big birdie finish or a hole out, or which, you're not going to have. I mean, half the time when you watch a PGA Tour or LPGA Tour event, it becomes a snooze fest towards the end, but that's the way it is because it's the reality of it. Yeah. The event coordinators would like to have, the top players in the world. They'd like to have the DP World Tour finish this week where Rory makes the eagle to get into the playoff and whatever, but that's real. That's happening. Yeah. It's not like they're doing it afterwards. So the thing is, if you have it afterwards and it's dull and it's like, okay, here's your $1 million and away you go, and somebody sculled into the pond and here's your money, it doesn't become all that exciting, especially as far as from a promotion standpoint.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well. Like it was just. I mean, I'm pretty sure that guy, that
Frank Borrelli,
like hits it, Frankie. I've got all their nicknames. I'm going to be honest with everybody, and I get flack from Brandon about this all the time. I don't know these guys. I don't know the goods and the Masolis, Mo. I know them all, like Mo and Paige and Frankie and Fish and Francis and there's some dude sitting on the bank there that I don't know what his name was, that he had it looked like he had a parka on. It was trying to make and the friggin' big ass cargo shorts that come down below his knee. I don't know who
The
this guy was.
Duke?
The Duke. There you go. The Dookie. Trying to
The
get the Dookie dollars or whatever. Like there was all these characters, and I'm learning them all as I'm watching this, so that's great.
Yeah.
I don't know these guys. I don't.
And you're not that much more compelled to go watch them.
Not now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. I get kind of sucked in a little bit to like Dude Perfect. I was into for a while, and some of the golf stuff that they did, and I watched some of the good stuff where they go play some courses and things that kind of neat to watch. But
but I watched the Bryan brothers, and I watch a bunch of different
who were
ones.
PGA Tour pros.
Right, but I watched that for particular reasons. But again, that's why when all of a sudden people start to go, oh, why wasn't this person in it? Why wasn't this person in it? Well, there's probably a reason. It's because they don't need they don't need the juice that they're going to get from a barstool Bob Does Sports collaboration, although they might participate in something else where they have an agreement and they make sure that the editing is stuff in the way it is, whereas this, it's like, and I understand this would have taken a lot more time to film and so forth, so there's other reasons why they would say no to doing this. But I have to think from a brand perspective, and we've come all the way back to this, it's all about the brand and protecting the brand. And Barstool is Barstool, they do their thing. Bob Does Sports, same sort of thing. You know what their brand is. I mean, they just kind of do their thing, and that's what they dive into. They're not expecting to get an invitation to this or that. They know what they are, and that's their character, so they're okay. But the risk is for people that, if their reputation is not that, to take that on and to be involved with that. And I've seen that hesitation. I've had those discussions with people that have avoided going on to certain things because they realize that they're going to get sucked into doing something that they don't want to do, that might be fine for that other channel's audience, but is not what they are known for. And if you don't stick to what you are, then you take the risk of, am I going to gain or am I going to lose from this?
And I have to think that some of the ones like you talked about there, I don't know the whole list of who was in it and who wasn't in it. But I know based on what I watched that there were a number of high profile YouTubers or content creators that were not participating. Whether they were invited, maybe they weren't invited because they
maybe not.
Maybe they didn't accept the invitation, but
or maybe they don't lend enough into the cast of characters that they would be helpful. Because again, if you all of a sudden put all 48 great golfers there, are you going to get what you get? Probably not.
No, I think that let's kind of look too at the assembly of all of this. Like at the end of the day, I think they got what they wanted in their final. They got a good mix of where you had one rather really decent golfer in each group, one mediocre golfer in each group, and one sort of average character at best in each group. And they battled down to the last hole, decided it all. Unfortunately, if Frankie hits that chip onto the green, you might have a playoff, which is even better. But he didn't, and you didn't, and they didn't. So exactly. It's it's the way it ended up. Now, I guess the wrap up on this is that while we understand what the whole purpose of it was, it's all about eyeballs on the YouTubers and the golf influencers and content creators. That's what we see, these creator classics that they do at some events, and it's all about trying to take their eyeballs and put it on those events. So they use this creator classics to put eyeballs on them and what they do, and show that they're good golfers and that they show their involvement in the game and so on and so forth. This was a little bit different than some of the content creator stuff, I think, because it seemed like it was a bigger cast of characters, a bigger, I guess you're casting a bigger net over the whole thing, more players involved, different levels of players, team game, kind of just, it seemed like it was one of those reality TV made for eyeballs events, and it wasn't really ever about the golf. I guess that's what I took from it, is it was never really about seeing average golfers hit great shots.
No.
It was more about
No.
seeing good golfers hit good shots, great golfers hit good shots, and bad golfers do what bad golfers do and hit bad shots.
Yeah.
So that's
Now
sort of what
here-
I took away from it.
Yeah, and here's my curious thing. I've seen hints, obviously, that they're discussing having a second edition of this. Very, very curious of who decides not to take part.
Yeah.
Because they say, you know what, I'm good.
They're rolling this back.
Of course they are. I mean, they can't ignore it.
Do you know how many views? I didn't actually check to see how many actual views.
I mean, there was anywhere, so there were at least a minimum 18 million up to between the 6 episodes. One of the episodes is already up to 6 million, one of the earlier ones. So, they're going to end up with, who knows? They could end up with 100 million views for this as it sits in the archive and gets watched, which is obviously what, the creators are after, right?
Maybe Liv should take a look.
But it's, what is the sacrifice for that? And yes, you're providing the prize money. There is an exchange that's here, and those people that agree to participate are exchanging and saying, all right, I'll take part for the sake of I'm getting this back and I'm getting this back. So it's not like they were being done dirty in a lot of cases. Like
you should have went into it with your eyes wide open.
Correct. Exactly. You need to be, astute enough to realize that this is the part of the business, and that's it. So, we're not saying that, anybody, basically misrepresented themselves and did something that the other people are not expecting. But that said, yeah, that's what you need to expect when you go into this. And for the consumer, it's like, yes, watch it, enjoy it, whatever, but realize that, it is what it is and nothing more.
So before we wrap up the show and wrap this up, we do have to sort of make people aware. There were 3 participants on each team. The winning team included an individual that is known in the internet world, the golf internet world, social media world, as Beef. And he was he's a very large man, but he's just from what I've seen, I obviously didn't know the guy, but from what I've seen and the things that I've heard about him, just a teddy bear, just a great guy, humanitarian,
PGA professional. He loved the game. So
asked about his what he would do with the money. The first thing that came out of his mouth was definitely donate some to charity and pay off my parents' mortgage.
Yeah.
So what you're dealing with an individual like this. Unfortunately, following this event, not long after the event was the final episode of this event was aired, he passed away.
Yeah.
Unexpectedly. And very unexpectedly. But so it was, as much as all the Internet Invitational stuff was going on, and all the controversy and all the excitement about what was happening, it unfortunately ends in some level of tragedy that one of the winners and participants in the event is no longer with the golf community. So thoughts and prayers from us go out to his family and friends in a very difficult time for them. We wish them all the very best. And with that, I think we will wrap up our discussion about the Internet Invitational and hopefully never speak of this again. But we will. So probably when they do it again. Okay. Do you want to talk about the PGA Tour season wrap up, or you want to end it right there? Like, I don't care.
I'll just do a quick little.
Okay, you do your thing, and then we'll close it off.
Obviously, DP World Tour Championship wrapped up. Matt Fitzpatrick won his for the 3rd time. Rory won the 7th, his 7th Order of Merit, which is fantastic. 10 players from that DP World Tour will go on to win their PGA Tour cards. Aaron Cockrell, our Canadian that does play in the DP World Tour, was not part of that because he had finished 120th in the Order of Merit, but he did regain his card at Q School, so he's looking forward to a season again on the DP World Tour in 2026. PGA Tour wraps up this week with the RSM Classic, very important for a number of Canadians who were in contention. Adam Hadwin had a chance last week at Bermuda to secure his spot, but did not. So keeping an eye on him. Adam Svensson and Ben Silverman. Mackenzie Hughes in the field as well, but he's already solid for next year. And then also the LPGA Tour wraps up with the CME Tour Championship this week. Brooke Henderson is taking part of that. So that's the little bit of a wrap up. We'll actually have the real wrap up of that, probably some mentions next week as well. So and that'll be it for the big tour seasons.
Nice.
And we'll go from there. And
big money on that CME. Big money for them this week too, eh?
Yes.
Like that's
yeah,
it's like 4 million or something. Is it 4 million?
Yeah, and it's big. I mean, especially Brooke has played really well in this over the years. So her best is a fifth, and she's had 5 career top 10 finishes in it. So she's feeling good going into this. So we'll see how that plays out for her. And then obviously we have a few Q schools and stuff that are taking part, and we'll have some wrap up on that either on our website. People can read wraps. I try to do this time of year. I try to do wrap ups usually at the start of the week on what happened on the tours during the week, and lots of stuff coming on equipment and all sorts of different things. So pay attention to flagstick.com for that stuff.
There you go. Okay, good show. Extended cut, 150th episode of the Flagstick podcast now in the books. And we're excited about that. So looking forward to 151. Well, thank you to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to our sponsors, Metcalf Golf Club, Falcon Ridge Golf Club, and of course our presenting sponsor, Srixon Golf. Srixon performance is more than just a number, it's a feeling, one that starts at the forge. Introducing ZXI irons with iForge, a groundbreaking achievement in shaping, pressing, and heating. This takes the Srixon feel to an entirely new level. ZXI irons from Srixon, how forge should feel. Visit Srixon.ca for more information and the full lineup of Srixon products. Well, we do hope that you've been enjoying listening and watching us. Be sure to follow us across all of our social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. And don't forget that YouTube channel. There will be no Internet Invitational on there, but there will be us. Like us, click the notification bell, make sure you never miss a single episode. Get over to flagstick.com for more amazing golf content delivered every single day, and be sure to subscribe to the Flagstick Digest newsletter. We deliver it 3 times a week directly to your inbox, free of charge. So subscription's free and you get great information. That said, as always, we do appreciate you tuning in. Until next week, I'm Jeff Botter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Remember, always go for the stick.